Did you like that? Did you enjoy Thursday night football? Winning ugly is still winning. So let's enjoy that portion of it. We're here live post-game. Welcome to RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. Your Chiefs have just won against the Denver Broncos for like the 87th time in a row, and it's going to be okay. I know it wasn't pretty. I know you want to complain about it, and we're here to listen. We're going to tell you what we saw. We're going to tell you what we think, and then we're going to move on to the fact that your Chiefs are 5-1. Welcome. Like, sub, hit that bell. This is RGR Football. Dan, I know it's not pretty. We're going to get to all the details, but at this point, with Travis looking like he can still move, happy about that. George Karlaftis was springy tonight. I'm happy about that. At the end of the day, it wasn't the performance we wanted, but I'll take the W. Where are you at?
I feel like even though it was a short week, Andy had too much time on his hands. What was going on this week? Like it was. We thought we were going to see a vanilla game plan, and we saw trick plays. I called the Kadarius Toney pass, by the way. I called that nonsense, and
it made me
Monday.
puke in my mouth a little bit. I'm just going to tell
Told y'all it was coming against the Broncos. I said it. We'll clip it from Monday night, and I'm going to blast it everywhere because that was hilarious.
You clip this one and put it right on the after part.
So funny. And I think that, yes, it was ugly. It wasn't fun to watch for just about anybody except for us defensive fans, because they're playing like one of the best units in football. All three phases of defense. And yeah, that touchdown was what it was. It was a great play by Cortland Sutton, but it never should have happened because that, my TV's heard about it. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun that they're 5 and they're. Can you say they're playing poorly? Can you say that?
That's the thing, is they're not playing up to their standard, but for anybody else in this league, they are not playing poorly. Exactly. I agree with you about Andy with a little bit extra time. I mean, there are cuss words in my notes this week, folks. I'm just going to warn you, when you get the link, you members, you get the link if you want to become a member and get in all the extra stuff. Dan had one of his rants today, so you can get that all by joining the rookie level or above. I had to actually put cuss words in my notes this time because this, and this is no offense to you Bronco fans. I know some of you will come in there. I know my wife's in the other room listening. They've done this the last couple of years. The Denver Broncos are a petri dish. This is where Andy goes to experiment. Not only does he have too much time, but he's trying stuff out and exposing the rest of the league to film against the Broncos, and he's been doing it consistently for a couple of years now because he just ain't scared. That's it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And when you have beaten down a team 16 straight times, is it fun to keep winning? Is it fun to just score 30 plus points like they did last year in both games? Is it fun to not get to mess around a little bit and just say, you know what? Who knows what happens today? We're just going to have a little bit of, like I said, I don't know if that was fun for the offense, but I do know that the defense had a lot of fun. They are the best team in the NFL at batting balls out of the air. And yes, Russell Wilson's a little bit shorter, and that helps a whole hell of a lot, but it doesn't matter. They get balls batted better than any single team, and they're coached to do so better than any team in the NFL. Steve Spagnuolo right now should be, I know that they don't give an award out for best DC in the NFL, but he's making a case for the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. He just is.
I don't blame you. I mean, he's got it, Tulin, and this is without him anyhow. Their biggest acquisition in the offseason.
Oh, who comes back next week?
Shocking. So here's the column that you got to watch. If y'all want to watch stats, this is the column. This is passes defensed. Look at all these guys. And kudos to Jalen Watson in a bounce-back performance. I thought he got a little roughed up early. He came back, made that super nice play down the field, a diving one-handed PBU. Mm-hmm. Good for him. Put up a couple. Karlaftis, a couple of bats. Obviously, Chris. I thought we got great play. We'll talk about the linebackers because they all got in on the action. So this is one of the key takeaway columns. How many PBUs you're getting, how many sacks you're getting. Those are the negative plays or the could have been plays that you can take the wind out of any team if you produce those consistently. That's what this team did tonight. When you take a look at the overall stats, and this is just going to hurt. 13 for 22 and 95 yards for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
That's what this defense did. And we're going to talk about Kelce Mahomes. The defense rode this game. They didn't need Kelce and Mahomes to be special tonight because they had this. That's why. Honestly, if it wasn't for one-handed play that I think was not under control, and I don't think that was a touchdown. Other than this is a shutout, folks, and that doesn't happen in the NFL very often.
I don't know if it's you or if it's me, but I'm hearing a lot of cutout from your microphone right now. I don't know if anybody else can hear that, but I
I'll be back.
Disagree that was a touchdown, 100% clear as day. And the defense, yes, Russell Wilson actually has been playing much better this year, but the big reason they've been able to kind of play better is that they've been able to throw the ball down the field. They couldn't do that in this game. There was nothing. They kept the top on incredibly well, and they forced Russell Wilson to move out of the pocket. And, he looked much more spry than he did last year as well. I think he's in better shape, and they were, forcing him to use his legs more often than he probably wants to, holding onto that ball a little bit. So, yeah, the defense, man, it's just so, I don't even know the words for it. They've been able to mush together this what usually is a tough spot for them in the early parts of the season where teams are scoring a bunch and able to do whatever they want to at times against the Chiefs defense. But again, this defense this year is different, and they're getting Charles Omenihu back next week. They're adding to their entire defensive hierarchy with what they're going to be able to do. So the fact that they were able to, yes, to still Russell Wilson, yes, the fact that it was still Russell Wilson, it doesn't change much for me because, again, he was playing better, and they were running the ball very well early in this game. Very well. Surprising. Like, the first note I have is that run defense not off to a great start. They were averaging over 6 yards a rush there for most of the game. And then at the end of the day, when you get up 5 field goals, they have to start throwing the ball.
I'm guessing you didn't dig that much.
Oh, not so much, no, but it was fun to watch Harrison Butker absolutely crush a 60-yard field goal. That would have been good from almost 70 yards, probably.
That was a thought as well. Like, that was a huge leg, and kudos to him. Hopefully Mike is doing better now. We'll see how this goes. Let me know, Dan. We can have our argument. Is it really? Dang it. Here, why don't you hit questions, and I'll be back in a minute.
That's a question. Absolutely, guys. So while Ryan figures that out, yes, appreciate all of y'all being in here. 500 of you. We have a couple of new members. Stephen P., thank you very much for joining the member section, as well as you, Casey. I appreciate y'all being here. And like I said, while Ryan's doing his thing, trying to figure out what's going on with his mic or headset or earphones, we'll answer a few questions. And if you're new in here, make sure you put some question marks before you ask the question so we can pick them out of the chat a bit easier, so that it makes it much, like I said, much easier for us. So thank you, Peyton, for the question. Is it time for a serious concern with Mahomes and the offense? Also, on a positive note, the defense is, in my opinion, a legit top 10 unit. We might have the best kicker and punter duo in the NFL. Both of those last two things are legitimate facts. 100%. Part of what Ryan was talking about earlier is absolutely true. The Chiefs and Andy Reid specifically use the Broncos as a kind of a practice team. They bring out a bunch of different stuff in here, and they see what works. I will say that there were multiple times that I saw multiple receivers open on a play, and either due to his read or eyes coming down based off the rush or whatever it is, he's not getting to those reads and not getting to those receivers. So I know the people are a little upset about the wide receivers. There's still some, at least in my opinion, some hope there that they're going to figure some things out. But Mahomes right now doesn't seem to either be getting to them or trust them enough to throw the football that direction. But I think today helped a little bit with Rashee Rice and Sky Moore both having 4 targets. I know that Sky had the one in the end zone that was out of his reach, but he was pretty good in this game and was able to make pass or 10 miss on that play. And Rashee Rice is kind of going to be the guy. He looks so explosive when he catches the football. So they're still working on some chemistry issues and chemistry concerns, but I'm not super worried right now. about the offense. Personally, it's going to take Mahomes like not scoring touchdowns for like 5 games in a row for me to be worried about it. So personally, I'm not too super worried about it. Thank you for the question there, Peyton. All right, Dirty Chiefs. Chiefs know they were playing the Broncos, right? Yep, that's exactly why we saw what we did tonight. Because they didn't they weren't too worried about the Broncos putting up points against their defense, which is the big thing here, is that the Chiefs felt very, very comfortable, in my opinion, in their defense to be able to come in and take this game without really much from the offense. And that's kind of how I'm trying to approach this one. Appreciate it, Dirty. What's up, Cody? How you doing, man? Can someone sit Andy down and tell him to stop with the trick plays? I'm not happy with this performance. So I think we kind of talked a little bit about why we saw those tonight. And a lot of it is because Andy's trying to see what he can do. And when you put that double handoff pass to Kadarius Toney, who throws it into double coverage on tape, you get to see how the defense reacts to that and how you can build a play off of it. And that's what Andy's trying to do. I don't know if it's a great idea to do, but at the same time, like they clearly were not worried about scoring points in this game. Like it wasn't a huge concern of theirs. They didn't care so much. They didn't want to. So yeah, Ryan's back, guys.
Sort of, maybe. I'm just gonna try not to be so damn excited. Maybe it'll be okay. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on, man.
Is it still happening?
I can still hear it. Yeah, it's like an echo.
Son of a motherless. Okay, I'm going to just reboot. So, like, have fun. Scored. It doesn't matter. There's still you. I'll be back.
All right, we're gonna figure this out, guys. You guys, if you to the members that ended up seeing my rant today, that didn't seem to happen as much with it as I wanted to. Sky Moore didn't get the ball a little bit as much as I expected him to, but I still think that they did a decent job in the second half of getting the wide receivers more involved. First half felt like it was all about Travis Kelce and trying to get that going, but he was also open all the time. Where was Justin Ross? Yeah. Where was Justin Ross? Justin Ross was on, I think he had about 4 snaps in this game, but it felt a little bit like they were trying something out. I think that they needed to use him in the red zone a little bit more and use him as a jump ball receiver, but that's not the case here. Yes, for those of you that are coming in here and not seeing Ryan, he's having some technical issues. We're trying to figure out what's going on with his microphone. Is a little bit echoey, so he's going to reboot his entire system and figure it out. So yeah, I think Ross was more of a package game, and especially if in this game, if they were trying to do a lot of other stuff with the receivers, trying to get them in different packages and different sets, he wasn't as needed, and they didn't feel that it necessary to use him in the red zone, which is a little bit strange to me. So unfortunately, I do think that we're seeing a little bit about Justin Ross, and he's probably going to the IR. I think he's not Justin Ross, excuse me, Justin Watson, not Justin Ross, Justin Watson. I think he may have broken his wrist. It looked like that on the game replay anyway. So hopefully that's not the case. But yeah. Can we start talking about McDuffie for All Pro? So the thing about All Pros is that it's largely it's largely a stat produced award. So we're not going to see a ton of cornerbacks here that are going to get all pro votes, specifically not first team all pro. They need to get those interceptions to get those first team all pros, and they might come later in the year. But right now, they're just doing a great job of being in position and being able to make it difficult for offenses to function. And that's what we saw again tonight. You saw lockdown coverage from Snead and McDuffie, up and down play from Jalen Watson, who redeemed himself there at the end. And I think that was a huge boost to his confidence because he played a lot in this game, like a lot. So he was able to come back there and have a much better bounce back performance today to earn more playing time. So we'll see how that ends up shaking out next week. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be Josh Williams playing more, but I think McDuffie is firmly in a conversation for second team all pro based on the way that he's played this year. Absolutely. Thank you, Caleb. All right. And we see multiple things about receivers here. Absolutely not I don't think that they need to bring back McCall Hardman now. The Justin Watson injury, whatever it may be, might change this situation, or it could allow the Chiefs to then actually use the players that they have in specific roles that they're good at. That's what I'm hoping to see. Because if you don't have Justin Watson, that's one player on the field that Patrick Mahomes trusted a lot. And if he's not there, they kind of by no other reason other than they'll be forced to use some of the other receivers in different roles and find out what works here and there. So I'm just hoping that they're able to figure some of these things out with the rest of the receivers, because that's going to be more important than bringing in McCole Hardman to do the same things that they've had everyone else kind of do. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about it. Appreciate it, Dirty. Thank you, Ryan, very much for the super chat. I hope you asked a question down here somewhere. If you didn't, and if I can't find it, because there's so much going on here. I'll try to find a question for you. But if I missed it, go ahead and put it back down there for me so we can get it doing. All right. Thank you for that, man. Corey, thank you for the question. Is it the worst start to a season in Mahomes' career? Is it on him, the wide receivers, the coaches, or a combination of all? So, I mean, Patrick threw for 300 plus yards in this game. And outside of the red area, this is not unsimilar to a game that the Chiefs had against the same Broncos a couple of seasons ago, where they came in, they should have scored a bunch of points. They just kept stalling out in the red zone. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. He's not having the best season so far in terms of what we've seen. I agree with that. I think he's missing some receivers, and I'm sure he's going to say that he needs to play a little bit better. But, things tighten in the red zone. It makes things more difficult to complete. And when you're already struggling a little bit with some of the other receivers, trying to get them in the right spots, maybe having a condensed field and less time to go through your reads properly, having more people in the way, I think that it does make things more difficult. And again, when you're having some of those problems with the receivers and getting on the same page as Mahomes, whether or not that's true or not, it makes it look even more exasperating than it is. And it can be a problem. No, maybe Ryan's back. I don't know.
It can be a problem too.
Hey, there he is.
All I have is problems at this point. Hey.
All right. I need to find some questions in here because we have a lot of them. But okay, that's right. This isn't the QA. This is not the Q&A. I've just been having to answer questions so Ryan can fix his stuff out.
Okay, let me share up because I had a couple of things that I wanted to go over there in my notes that I really think do exemplify. While I was rebooting, because yes, I had to actually go reboot this whole thing. I got to listen to Sean Payton a little bit, and Sean is of the point where even when he's calling his good plays, he's talking about how well the defense is playing as a team and how well it's rallying. And that's really, I think, the number one thing that we can take away is that, yes, this was ugly. Yes, the offense needs to start cooking a little bit more. There's some questions about the wide receivers. I don't know if you got to those yet. We'll get there. But this is what young teams have to do. At the end of the day, you have to be able to stop someone else. It kind of goes against a lot of people's thoughts because this is such a fantasy-based business these days. But it is more instinctual to play defense, to read and react, and just go. Turn your brain off. Don't worry about where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to be reading. Thundarius, I guess I'm super loud now. Apologies. I will tone it down. So when you're young and you still don't have a lot of time as a whole in the league, it's a little bit easier to play defense because it is more individualistic. It is more go exploit what you get from this guy and react to it. And I think that shows up here. When you take a look at who's leading this team, it used to be that Chiefs would get passed on for years and years and years. You might have a good DB or two, right? Now there's not a corner that's really getting pressed much. It's who's going to be chosen out of this group. Another forced fumble from McDuffie tonight.
Again.
He's just got this uncanny thing, and it's funny because he didn't actually punch that ball out at the end. It went off the running back's knee. Yeah, but if you slobber knock him and bend him in half, that stuff's going to happen, right? So it's like it's evenly spread. You have Gay, Justin Reed, Snead, whom we know was playing a little bit tight. Nick Bolton back in action, and then Chris Jones. You don't have your best player impacting the tackle until number 4. So that just tells you just how much of a team effort this is, that you're getting some young guys, you're getting some veteran guys, you're getting a little bit of everything. I wanted to ask you, I wasn't able to see the first quarter live because of my family stuff. J. Will versus Watson. Did we see a change tonight? What did you have?
I don't. Spags is doing the same thing Spags was doing last year. One game we think, yep, Josh Williams has this job. He comes right back. I think it's because Watson had a rough game last week. He was like on a short week. I think this is a good opportunity to get him his confidence back. And then we saw. I know he pulled on Courtland Sutton's arm. I know that. I really liked what he did anyway. I liked it anyway because he was half of a step back and a ball that's underthrown. He's just trying to get back. And he let go right away too. Like he was really slick trying to hide it. He looked back eventually. Like he can't find the ball until the receiver looks. I think this week he was much better at reacting to what the receiver was showing him, not just kind of trying to figure it out on his own. He was reacting to the receiver. And when you go based on what the receiver is doing, those are the cues you have to follow, specifically in this defense, is they are not playing off coverage. They're not playing in front of the receiver. They're typically playing in step with or down the field. So you have to go based off the cues you're given. I think tonight he did a much better job of reacting to those and putting himself in better position to make plays.
Agreed. That last one down the seam, maybe even
that was beautiful.
The sideline, it was great. And that's like the maximum of what I've seen from him over the years, both at Wazoo and since we've seen him here. Right. So if he can get that back, get into that kind of mindset, I think that he can do that consistently. The other guy that you talked about making those changes, making those transitions, I thought Leo Chanel, from what I saw, was moving really well. I know that he missed at least one tackle that I was really hopeful he could make. But again, I'm seeing progression from what Leo's being asked to do. The rotation at linebacker tonight really kind of threw me off a little bit because it was much more robust, the rotation through, than I thought it was going to be.
I loved it. It's a good problem to have when you have 4 linebackers that you have to get on the field. And yes, I know that Leo Chanel got singled up on Jerry Jeudy. Oh no, it's going to happen from time to time because you have to get these guys on the field. And then the next play after that, he was rushing the quarterback. They were able to use their playmakers on defense in a much more positive way. Adding Drew Tranquil to this defense has made them more multiple at the linebacker level than they've been in, I don't know, a decade. It's ridiculous. This is the best linebacker crew that they've had, the most complete, the most versatile, the most athletic, the fastest that they've had since they had a Derek Johnson in the center field for that linebacking crew. It's the best that they've ever been since then. That's a long time, guys. It's a long damn time.
Yes, it is. I mean, and that gives you the ability to withstand attrition. A couple of guys went down tonight. We saw Watson. I think it's a wrist. I haven't seen anything yet. The pressers are either started or going right now. I'll have more for you on Locked On Chiefs later. I'm not listening to it in one ear because I can't even talk right, let alone listen. But I know Justin Reed was banged up. Looked like he was fine after the game. We saw him coming off. He did a media appearance. Looks like he's going to be okay. So I'm glad for that. Like, as long as they can survive that attrition, it keeps the defense young and hungry and flowing. And I think that's what's important. Let's hit some of these super chats so that I don't make us fall behind anymore because of my mouth. Something's wrong with the offense. They've only had one good game that was against the Bears. It's week 6. This is concerning. I understand where you're coming from. I will also tell you that in terms of statistics, they are exactly on par with where they were last season. So I'm not terribly worried. It's our expectations, right? Like, can we just throw the ball to a 12-yard dig to Tony and not have to come up with some contrived play for him? Can we just do that? Is that out of the realm of possibility here, Dan?
Can we put anybody on the dig? I mean, and it was nice to see Rice catch one. I don't know if it was a dig. No, it was over the middle of the field. I mean, he stopped in the coverage, which is how they're taught to run. But no one else is getting those plays. And when they are getting those routes, they're not getting thrown the football. I saw Sky Moore open a couple times over the middle of the field tonight. I know Kadarius Toney was open down the middle of the field running away. But again, Patrick's running to the right. It's hard to see that. Just they're off schedule. The offense is just a tick off schedule. They have guys open, And Patrick Mahomes is still tonight should be very encouraging to everybody. Mahomes made some very impressive downfield throws. The one to Justin Watson was perfect. It was perfect, and it just tipped off of his fingertips. Or that's a gigantic play, something that they've missed on a lot. That throw to Travis Kelce, that was over two defenders, over an outstretched hand. That's the kind of stuff that we've been looking to see. The problem has been that every time they trickle a couple of them together, the field condenses. And when the field condenses, it feels like they have too much air in their lungs. It feels like the offense can't breathe properly, and they don't know how to short yardage their way in. They're having to do trick plays on 3rd and 1 because they don't feel comfortable. And that's a problem for me. I think the offense itself is okay. It's in actually a better spot this week than it was last week. But there's a little bit of too much air in their lungs, like they hold in their breath when they're getting inside the red zone right now against a Broncos defense. Let's be honest, is one of the worst in football, and they played a little bit better tonight than they have in the entire season.
I agree. I do think they raised their level of play for sure. And I agree where you're coming from. Statistics that I want to show you guys here in a second that leads that way. Boschko, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. And it ties into Corbin. The kid is going to be really good. Rashee Rice is on his way. And that play that you mentioned, Dan, that was it. That's what we hope to see. I've seen him do that on the outside in college, but I'm okay if they're going to run him over the middle. That works just fine for me. Play too high. I dare you.
This is part of my problem with the offense, the construction of the receivers. Rashee Rice is basically a slot receiver in this offense. He's an outside threat, but they felt that his usage right now contributing to this offense is best used out of the slot, and that's putting in my opinion, your best slot receiver, Sky Moore, on the outside because he knows the route tree. And that's part of the problem, is that he's still getting open, but he's also being asked to run the X route tree when that's not his best skill set. It's just not. So we might have to deal with another season of Sky Moore being extremely unproductive until Rashee Rice can take over as the X next year or whatever he's end up doing there, because that's going to be eventually his chance, in my opinion. He's going to be that guy that takes that part next year if he takes that step. But we're seeing a little bit of a mesh problem with the talent that they have right now.
Yeah, and it's trying to let the younger guys grow in and take over from the older dudes.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing. It's stop and go, that kind of thing. So, Corbin, you're going to be right, I think.
Just a little update right here. Andy Reid says that wide receiver Justin Watson has an elbow injury, and it's not broken. So that's a positive thing. So there's that update.
Good. I like that. Jacob, Dan, what do you think is throwing Mahomes off in general? I felt like tonight was a little bit more calm and less pressing, less trying to make a play happen out of thin air. What did you think?
What do I think his problem is? I think it's just sometimes first reads are taken away. We saw last year when they were rolling down the stretch, it was first read, ball was out. Like he was still holding the ball a lot, but that was because of the whole season he was holding the ball more early in the year. That's happening right now, where the ball's holding on a little bit more and his first reads are being taken away. That first half, that ball was coming out because guess who was open? Travis Kelce was open the entire first half, and they were able to generate some big plays. And I do think that when the field condenses for them, their first reads are being taken away a little more often, space, and they don't run the ball very well inside the 20-yard line. They, for whatever reason, they don't do it very well, and they don't run play action inside the 20. Not once, from what I remember, did they run a play action pass inside the 20-yard line. That is a little problematic for me, personally.
Yeah, that's fair, and you got to hope that it doesn't become a trend. I mean, that's certainly something we have to guard against. McDuffie has 3 forced turnovers, right? Yeah, I think so.
I think he's got 3 this year. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to double check that. But he's well on his way to being a Chris level in a couple of years. I mean, yeah, like we said, like he is foundational. Would you love to keep Snead? Yes, that's what we'll talk about in the offseason when it comes around. But McDuffie has the capability of, I think he still has continued ceiling to be the foundation of this defense.
I just saw a very funny comment. That's all.
Okay, we'll get to that. I'll try to get us caught up. Jeff, good defense. We're playing for the worst teams. I would argue that both Jacksonville and Detroit are maybe in the top 10, certainly in the top 15.
Top 10's defenses, absolutely.
New York's in the top 10 in defenses easily. So I don't think at all that it is just good defense. They're playing. I'm saying it is a good defense. It's not that they're playing bad teams. Thank you, Jeff, though. Sorry, I'm totally castrating your comments here. Johnny, thanks to you, buddy. Appreciate you. Good day up there. Andrew, thank you, pal. I appreciate the support. Defense was great. Offense is frustrating at times, but I think it's getting there. Not sure what they're doing with Tony yet. They're not sure either. And once Rice joins Kelce and Pacheco as a go-to guy, we'll look better. And I think that will filter out. By my recollection here, let me share this. It was over 300 yards for Mahomes. Too much. Sorry. 4 targets for Rice, 4 targets for Moore. McKinnon and Pacheco got a little bit more. I think that was just from the nature of the defense.
Yeah.
There's no Ross on this list. And so again, I think this was gameplay. They didn't feel that they needed him. But yes, I think that there's going to be that added dimension as well. And so as frustrating as this is, I think there's a lot of room to grow yet. And I don't think we should be concerned. Do you agree with that, or am I seeing roses here?
No, I think you're right. And again, you have to still be able to take advantage of the short parts of the field. Mahomes got to his checkdowns a little bit earlier in this game with Clyde, with Pacheco. And when you do that consistently and force defenses to have to respect that, you're going to start to open up that sideline a little bit. It just takes a lot because the Chiefs are so known for exploiting defenses down the field. We might just end up having to live with a lot of short passes right now until defenses respect them a little bit more.
Yeah, I have to agree. Let's see. Out of my notes, you can see I lost all my notes from the first half. You guys, it'll be a story for another day. In terms of what we saw moving forward, obviously, if Watson's elbow is not broken, that's a big plus. But again, this opens up, and this is the reason you have this kind of depth at receiver. Sorry, this is not big enough to see. But that opens it up for Rice. It gives more opportunity for Moore. It gives more opportunity for Ross next week and continued on. And so I think those are all good things at the end of the day. And I do think that leads towards, if Mahomes is settling like I feel like he is, I think that settles the whole thing. I think let's take a step back for just a second, because honestly, maybe we buried the lead here. Mahomes is such a competitor that it didn't even bother me when he went to go hit Broncos on purpose, not avoid. Like, I was comfortable with it for some odd reason.
I was too. Honestly, the way that Mahomes plays right now, the way that he is running and seeking out contact a little bit, bring the QB sneak back. Do it. Bring it back. If you're having such a problem on 3rd and 1, that was such a freak accident that they shouldn't be so scared of it happening again. They really shouldn't be. Man. I'm tired of this 3rd and short nonsense. I'm tired of it. I bet you they are too. They're having to. Andy Reid is getting so into his playbook that he's got Kadarius Toney taking snaps at quarterback.
Yeah,
and reading the guy that he's supposed to be reading, instead of handing the ball off, he's just taking it and getting hit by the guy that he's supposed to be reading.
It's ridiculous.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think from his mindset, not to defend him because I agree with you. I don't agree with Andy in doing that. But from his perspective, he's saying, okay, I just put that on film and the next 5 opponents have to go watch that. Everybody got to see it live because the rest of the league is watching, and now everybody's going to go watch the film.
Do it on 1st and 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Do it on 1st and 10. Don't do it on 3rd and short, Andy. Do it on 1st and 10. They still have to watch it then.
Just take care of business. Should we bring back Hardman? Jonathan, no. Hardman isn't bringing you anything that you don't have right here except flat out speed. And quite frankly, I don't think it's worth the trade-off.
He's also been hurt. Like, that's not he hasn't been playing because he's been hurt.
True. Jonathan, thanks for the super chat, though. I appreciate
it.
You too, Dorian. I wanted him to bench Travis and make Mahomes throw the other receivers. Sky and Rice were naked open, and he forced 2 to Kelce. I mean, yeah, there is that part of it. Like, back of the head, like if anything goes wrong, go to Trav. Okay, I get that, but like, come on, spread the love a little bit.
I'm telling you, they're so keen on throwing the ball around. But Rice and Sky both had 4 targets in this game. Just 2 of Sky Moore's targets were just uncatchable. He threw him down the field, and it's just.
And in Sky's defense, when he did get his hands on the ball,
Yeah.
I thought he was active after the catch. I thought he forced missed tackles. I thought he was good after contact. Like, he did everything that I need him to do to prove I need to throw him the ball more.
He is never going to complain. I love it.
Yeah.
He's not a give me the ball. He's a let me do what I got to do. And that's just the problem. Like, it's not a problem. It's a good thing to have. Those kind of players are what you want on your team. It's why he's been playing as much as he has, because he does the dirty work. He doesn't complain. And he's still getting open. I know people are saying wide receivers aren't getting open. That's just not true. Okay. When Mahomes is looking one way and his first read or is not open, he cannot. I know it's hard to believe that he can't take his eyes and look at them 2 different ways, but he can't see over here all the time. When he's looking this way, he can't see over here all the time. So we all need to understand that the backside receivers aren't always going to get the ball when they're wide open. And I need to do a little bit better of that too, of seeing, hey, look, backside play, probably not going to be seen, pressure in his face. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ryan Schmidt, I hit enter my super chat, shouting out Bucker. Sorry I missed you there, Ryan. Maybe that's one that Dan got while I was gone.
Yes, I did. Appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you for getting the question in.
Yeah, and thank you for supporting Bucker. Good for him. I really do feel, and I said it at the time, but there's always a little bit of doubt. I really do think it was the ankle injury that set up his whole season for all of the issues. Like, now that he's healthy, I don't see any of that. And kudos for Tommy for getting back when I thought maybe he'd have to sit.
Yeah, those 2 look really good right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not one that generally tracks that stuff.
Do me a favor and take the entire 4th and 2 kick team push out of the playbook. Take it out. Yeah. I don't want to see it ever again.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah. Just put Jones in the backfield and hand the ball to Chris Jones on 4th and 1 and see what happens. I'm just telling you. Oh, God. Gary, thank you, buddy. How do you think Karlaftis played? I thought he looked not quite 100%, but I thought he looked dramatically better than last week, at least at the end of the game.
He looked explosive. He was getting some wins tonight. Like, he had a nice little rip on the Jones sack that he ended up helping out with. I don't know how they're going to divvy that out. Jones was clearly about to get the sack anyway, and Karlaftis came and helped him out, but he had a really nice rip win right there, and he cornered well. He looked better tonight than I think he played the last couple of weeks, personally.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he's this close to really putting it all together. A little bit quicker rip, a little bit more to the outside shoulder, and he can turn. Like, it's there. Donnie, thank you for the support, buddy. Bucker's best season. It's time for Ross more. I agree with you, and I think there's going to be opportunity coming. They get a little extended break now. It's not like a true bye week, but you get a little bit more. And I do believe that this staff looks at these breaks and they do time them, and so I do think we're going to see a switch, and we'll see some of the things that we've been complaining about come into account a little bit more, because they're watching them as well. There's a little bit slow getting around.
Yeah.
Dr. Ozzy, thank you, buddy. When Richie James, when is he coming back? I think they have not, I believe, released any kind of timeline. It's not that like, hey, 4 weeks and he'll be back kind of thing. We don't know.
We got nothing.
J Watt's spot. Only if Justin has to go to IR would he take his spot, even if he's ready. I think the more likely is you just go with 6 wide receivers. Lord knows they got 1,000 of them, so why not?
I'm with you.
Do we see Reed designing more plays for Rice to take advantage of his yak potential? Eventually. He knows it's there. I think it's working Rice into this offense, and then it will expand from there, is my thought.
He's so much more explosive than he was at SMU, but he's used he's used this way. Like, this is a completely different usage than he had at SMU, and we're seeing right now what the Chiefs saw in him the entire time and why they were so keen to take him in the second round. Like, that catch to attack explosion is legitimately next level stuff. Like, that's pure NFL speed acceleration right there.
Yeah, it's creepy. All right, we are going to get close to getting out of the presser, so I'm going to have to get unlocked on. So we're going to run through all the super chats right now. I know we got a bunch of them. Thank you guys. We're going to get there.
So much.
Mr. Uber Crows, I'm not sure. Thank you, sir. I feel okay about the game. I think the defense is getting refined, and we're learning things like it's not to snap the ball to Tony. Good point. And offense felt intentionally vanilla, but better generally. I don't have an argument with that, other than the super trick stuff to Tony to like try to spark something in him.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like they were outside of the trick plays, which again I don't understand on a Thursday night game. Why? But it's more about, I think, Mahomes getting comfortable. He looked much more comfortable in this game, and that's important going forward.
I completely agree. Thank you, Uber. Thank you, Nick, as always. Appreciate you, man. It kind of seems like it's the opposite of years past. The offense starts slow, but defense comes out swinging. Hopefully, after the bye, they're good. I have no doubt. I expect the offense to do what the defense usually does.
And maybe we just have to be okay with that. Like, they're 5-1, starting off slow on offense. Like, I mean, at some time, we've just got to like, hey, this is pretty cool. The Chiefs' offense doesn't really have to do anything, and they can win games.
It's a beautiful thing. They didn't draft any of the guys that I told them. Well, mostly they didn't draft any of the guys they want. They let Mike Burton go. It's like they're purposely trying to mess with me, and yet now I get to have a team that wins ugly with defense. I love this concept.
Yeah, it's great. Just
it's all about me.
Just win. Just win.
Yep.
Just get them dubs, guys.
I know. Okay, Jalen. Appreciate you. Chris, thank you, buddy. Mahomes Gucci D is solid. What are you worried about? Fair enough.
Fair points.
Piss him off. Tell him he can't. I wait for somebody to tell him he can't do something, and then he'll take care of it. You know what I mean? I ain't too worried. Chris, thank you, pal. This offense is not good enough to take field goals for granted until they have things figured out. Take the 3. I think that's fair enough. Like rather than just keep missed opportunities on drives, have drives that end in points for right now until you feel like it's back. You know what I mean?
And again, I don't have any problems going with it on 4th and 2 or 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. Please, for everything that I love about this game, let Patrick Mahomes be the one to make the decision on those plays. Hand the ball off, let it be from Patrick. Throw the ball, let it be to Patrick. QB sneak it, let it be Patrick. I don't care right now. Let him be the one to make those decisions.
Thank you, Chris. And Ozzy, thank you again. Was the Kelce lateral, was it planned or not?
That was absolutely planned.
I'm going to give you a quick story. I am that dad that was sitting in the middle of a volleyball match watching my daughter with the game on my phone, and I watched that play, and I shouted out loud, and the whole stadium turned around and looked at me. And I'm like, go watch the game. I have to think it was planned as well. The direction that Gray was moving, I think that was part of the. At least it was an opportunity. It was an option.
As soon as Travis saw it, he wasn't looking to run around. He wasn't. He stopped. He stopped, and he was like, "Oh, here you go." It was 100% planned
for you, Noah. Hope you're buddy. It seems like it seems to take Reed a few games, but now he's on fire. He's on fire right now. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he has a tendency to get a little carried away, like Cincy last year. So keep his mouth shut and keep on plugging away. And I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay. Callie, hope you're doing good, bud. Should we give Washington a shot on offense? What do you think?
No.
Okay.
To be fair, he's also extremely new to the system. He's still learning the wide receiver position. If they're having trouble right now with what they're doing, teaching all these guys different positions, different plans, throwing another person into that isn't going to help anything.
I agree.
You've got one job, buddy.
If you need to, do it. If you don't, just stay in your lane for now. If we need you, we'll call you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Callie. Scott, thank you. Why doesn't Reed call more play action? Mahomes does his best when making reads on the move. Because for read option versus an actual true play action is about the same result. And I think that's him. For when you hear people in these chats or on any of the channels here on YouTube Like, sub, hit the bell here for you guys tonight. When everybody says, hey, don't take the ball out of Mahomes' hands, I think that's Andy Reid's version of that, is saying, I'm going to keep it with him if we can. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give him the RPO rather than the play action, just so, like, if I have to, he can give it off. But I know he's not gonna, you know?
Yeah. At the same time, though, they need to do some structured play action stuff. I think that every NFL team needs legitimate, structured, true 100% under center play action concepts. And typically, under center play action concepts in the red zone, when you get a little bit more stacked boxes, can be more advantageous to you. Open up a little bit more space if you're feeling congested. You might be able to do that. They did not run the ball once out of 13 personnel, and they ran 13 personnel 4 or 5 times in this game. Every single time, it was a straight drop back pass. What is that? What is that?
Well, and on the positive side, like, they ran enough. You know, they had 20 called run plays, 40 dropbacks. You know, like, I can live with that. It was actually 45 dropbacks now that I look at it. But that's pretty good balance. So you're right. Like, do you get wrapped up in the fact that you're faking them out just by your personnel package? You got to do a little bit more than that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Just do a little bit more. That's it.
Yeah, just a little smidge. Just give it that last dose of salt on top of it, okay? It'll bring the whole dish open, I swear.
Be like Emeril Lagasse over there. Bam! Just a little bit.
KL, hope you're doing well. MVS never had a TD reception within the 10-yard line in his career. Why does he still get snaps there? Because they're scared. You know, like, he is good height. He doesn't use it well, but it's just there. And I don't know. It feels like that's why.
The fact that you said that he's never had a touchdown reception within the 10-yard line in his entire career, it hurts. It hurts me to see him on the field now, but knowing that this statistic is real and it's out there. Please, Justin Ross is available, and we know that he can use his size. You having trouble in the red zone? Just give him a chance. Just get to know him. Just get him a chance.
It's the best reception he's had all season when he's allowed to just go climb the ladder and go get it. So put it in a spot where he scores points with it. Hey, there's an idea.
Nice.
Oh, KL, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your support as always, pal. Kelce, does it seem like other teams were able to plug and play their rookies? What about our offense? Do you think makes it less plug and play for the rookies versus other teams? It's super complex on every single level, particularly for the skill level guys. And it's very, very, very wordy. Like, I know that they've tried to cut it down the last few years because it just gets to the point where it's taking like 8 seconds to ramble the damn thing off. And you're in between plays, you're trying to relay it in from Nagy to coach to whoever, it's taking time. In fact, the Broncos got into a tough spot a couple of times where they were overthinking. They were getting the play in, and it was like, 3-4 seconds left on the play clock. And I think that's part of the problem. So you really got to have those reps in order to just get your rookies in there.
Yeah, they're also limiting it a little bit. Like, for whatever reason, McVay has been able to just limit what routes Puka Nacua does, but he plays on the outside and in the slot. So he's limiting the routes that he has to learn, but kind of opening up his offense to the idea of moving him around a lot and getting comfortable with that. So the focus is a little bit different. Andy Reid right now, typically it looks like he's doing a little bit of the same with Rashee Rice. But the difference being Rashee Rice had 4 receivers in front of him. Puka Nacua was the number 1 receiver on that team when they started. Like, it is a little bit different. Last year, Sky Moore had 5 receivers in front of him at times, and this offense is not built as it's constructed now to harbor a rookie as a number 1 receiver, and they don't feel like they ever want to do that. But I think that if they needed to, they absolutely could.
I agree. Thanks, Kelce. Hang on, I'm going to go right back. The receivers are stopping the routes, and that's part of it, because you need to run through those routes. It takes a while. That's part of it, Sean, is like learning to play with the quarterback is also part of the challenge. Harvey, very much appreciate you. Thanks, buddy. Glad you're here. Red Hood, let me go back to you. I understand packages and whatever, but long-term Pat isn't going to trust the wide receivers if they don't get the reps, which in turn makes Pat constantly focus solely on Kelce because he's the only constant. And that is a problem. You got to find what sticks and you got to grow that. It's like planting a garden. Like I grow jalapenos. If I try to grow habaneros, they don't grow because I don't treat them right. Because you got to do a little bit ready for like each thing. And I agree. That is part of the process. I think they'll settle down in the next couple of years. But I'm not sure everybody that's going to be here in 2028 is on this roster.
Yeah, I do have it on good authority that Patrick Mahomes trusts Rashee Rice and trusts Sky Moore. But plays are not drawn up right now for them a lot. 4 targets and 4 targets. That's 8 targets out of 45 dropbacks. Okay. Yeah. That's a lot of targets going elsewhere too. And especially because even on the last play of the game, that was a scripted play for somebody. I don't know exactly who it was. It might have been Tony. I didn't see who was on the field. It was just not too much going on. And then Mahomes took the sack. But that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
That screen play was going for a touchdown because they did zero blitz him. If he was able to get the ball off.
And that's why he got sacked, because he just saw it and he wanted it to develop so bad that he held on to even somebody else. And that's on Juwan Taylor. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'll probably have to pull that clip because Juwan just let Zach Allen go.
Inside man first.
Yep. I don't think it was. It was not one of those, we're going to leave the guy on the edge unblocked so Pat can run outside. That was not it. That was a blown protection. And we'll talk about that later in the week. You're going to have breakdowns from Dan, from me. Gary will be back. Seth will be back. We'll all have breakdowns on this game. It's a long week to the next ball game. So we'll definitely have it. But Decimus, you have a good point. I mean, he will be back by then. So, I mean, if you can get pressure from him, we'll see how he is he was in really good shape when he had to stop. We'll see what he does now. Yeah. It could get very nasty very quick.
Just really quickly, we'll get to Teddy really quickly. But, KL, I trusted you. Trusted you with the stat about MVS. And Donnie comes in with the clutch here. Both Jags games, he had touchdowns in the red zone. Within 10 yards. So I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Okay. So part 2 of the Athletics football show, Dan and I will now be doing. I guess I have to be Nate then? Is that how that works? Okay.
I listen to it so much that it's just stuck in my head sometimes.
Oh, that's funny. All right, folks. Looks like we're going to get ready for Locked On Chiefs. We got a couple more super chats, so we're going to let you guys go for the night. At what point do we make a move for another wide receiver? Because no one besides Kelce and Rice is showing any kinds of consistency. I think that you're absolutely right about the consistency. I think there's no move to be made, my friend. Unfortunately, I don't know that you can wrangle anybody that you can pay that can actually help. That includes McCole Hardman. That includes anybody I can think of right now, Dan. Do you see any option out there?
No, and again, when you're adding receivers to the equation, you're actually making it more difficult for them to solve. That's kind of what happens when you add numbers to an equation. It makes it more difficult to solve. That's what would happen in this offense. If you're throwing numbers at it, it's going to make it more difficult. So they need to just keep the guys that they have, focus on getting them continued. 10 days here. There's a bye week coming up. That will be a lot of time of downtime for them to focus and study on the playbook and what works well and what they can execute going forward.
I'm with you. Thank you, Teddy. Appreciate you as always. Thanks, bud. Dylan, thank you. Do we need design plays to the running backs more often? I mean, I thought the screen game was working really well tonight. And honestly, they had 12 targets for the running backs. Yeah. I feel that was too much tonight.
A little bit. But again, I do think that they had to try and do something to show the linebackers to come downhill. Like they had to try to trigger them. And that ended up being how Sky Moore caught that pass in the left side of the field where they had Pat Surtain come down because they couldn't just let the running back in the flat. They opened up that little bit of the area on the left side of the field. So it did end up working. It just took until the fourth quarter to get those people to start to respect it a little bit. So unfortunately, it takes time, and I'm glad they finally started to target them a little bit more in just the general area.
Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, at the end of the day, Courtland Sutton had a few good catches. He ended up with 46 yards. Number two on for the Broncos was P. Ryan at 16 yards. She's had 5 receivers put in more yardage than that. So, like,
Yeah.
yes, I know it's frustrating, but there's enough that it's working. Just got to get a few more. We're going to see Patrick throw 35 to 40 passes the rest of the year because you just got so many mouths to feed.
Yeah.
PK, should we worry about Taylor? And that's one of the things that I need to take a better look at. Like I said, I was at an event for part of the first half. Where are you on Taylor? He was only in my notes at the end of the game. Otherwise, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, the penalty earlier was a little bit, I thought, ticky-tacky personally. But I think he's playing very well. He does not lose quickly. Most of the time that he's giving up bad plays or penalties. Like that's the problem. That's the big problem, is that you got to find a way to stop getting penalties called on you. Last week was awesome. This week, one penalty on a short week. Again, I thought it was a little ticky-tacky, but I thought he played well. And speed rushers pretty much are at a premium in Denver right now. That's about all they have in Cooper and Bonito. They were the only guys on pretty much that were rushing the passer from the edge, and I think he just got caught one time. So I don't think he played bad. I'll see it upon further review when the film drops. I think it'll drop tomorrow for me, so I should be able to watch it and get it nice and studied.
Dude, you're always ahead of me, and folks, thank Dan for doing the extra work.
Yeah, I get it Monday. I get it Monday.
Yeah,
so I'll have this tomorrow, most likely.
We're going to finish up with 2 other questions, and then I got to get on to Locked On Chiefs. You guys can come watch that stream here, maybe 10-ish minutes, something like that. Kirk, do you think Reed will continue to play vanilla the rest of the regular season or open up the playbook, even though the teams the Chiefs play after the bye are potential playoff teams? I think he's going to have to open it up after the bye myself. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think, again, they're trying to figure out what works best. And if you can figure out what works best on a slightly more vanilla game plan and play calls, you can add those into the more complex stuff that you have later in the season, because you can always come back to them.
Yeah, it's simple to sprinkle them back in. And Red Hood, I'd say that the word is on Taylor to rush him on the inside. Rarely, if ever, does he get beat outside. It's usually inside. That's true. And especially if you can get like a nice quick spin where you bring down that outside elbow and really cut off his punch, that's the way you attack him. I'm not happy with it, but it is what it is. And that is my cue, folks. We're going to jump over to Locked On Chiefs. We're going to get going in a couple of minutes. Dan, thanks for your time, and thank you for leading us through this when my stuff don't work.
I tried. I hope everyone has a fantastic evening. I know it may have been a little frustrating, but 5-1 is still 5-1.
Take the money and run. You guys have a great night. Remember, we're going to have content for you. I know it's Friday, but I'm going to do something anyway, and we'll be back with our normal schedule next week, even though it's a bye week, because we love you guys that much. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.